and welcome. We are back and we're continuing on marital happiness. And we are glad that you are here. But you know what? We need some help.
What does that even mean?
We need some help.
Help with what?
We need help. And so we need some help. So we gotta get help.
For what? Are you talking about the refrigerator? Are you talking about something in the house? Something in our relationship? Something with our children?
Yeah, in our relationship. And we need some help. So we need somebody to come in and fix all of our problems, tell us what to do, and so that if something go wrong, we can blame them. That's how you get help.
That's how you get help.
One, they get to fix your problems, and then they'll tell you what to do.
There are people that can fix all of your
fix our problems. Tell us what to do, and it'll get fixed.
I don't know anybody like that.
That's the kind of help that we need. Or, you're right. We don't need no help. It's just the two, right? It's true.
I got you, babe.
I got you, babe. Just the two of us. Right. In other words, some couples don't really need help, right? Like some need help. They say they need help. They want help. It's almost like their marriage. They got to have somebody in their marriage to help them. They got to have that relative or that older Christian and discipler, or they got to have that church leader or that older married couple. And then there's some people who don't need help. They do great. It could be just them against the world, and they do awesome. They don't need no help whatsoever. You know?
As you talk, you know what I think about? Avoid all extremes.
Yeah, I think about with Solomon, avoiding all extreme, as it said in Ecclesiastes. Yes, avoiding all extremes. Because look, the topic we were talking about was getting help. That one of the key influences on marital happiness is to the extent that you let others outside of the marriage, you get help from outside sources. Now, it doesn't mean I gave the extremes. On one extreme, you can kind of want other people to solve your problems, which is not really getting help. That's irresponsibility. That's just being just passive, right?
Right.
And then somebody has to always kind of be in the middle between you and your spouse, or nothing gets done. Or on the other similar extreme rather, of getting help, because when you do it that way, if things don't go well, it's not even your fault. You can blame the person, the reason why your marriage isn't going well.
Right.
And then of course the other extreme was the people who it's just the two of them, and they don't ever, what happens in this house stays in this house. And we get, no matter what's going on between you and me, no matter how bad it is or how frustrated we feel, we won't dare go outside and let other people know, man, this is what's going on. But what would the advice be? We know.
So is it sort of like, when do you call the plumber?
When do you call the plumber?
So I can fix a small leak. I can fix a drip. I can fix if a washer needs to be changed. But if it's a burst water main
something behind the wall, probably unless you're skilled in that way, right? You get in a plumber. Look, one thing I know makes, and this is just a fact of marital happiness is affected by whether or not and how you get help.
Right.
Every marriage needs some intervention, some support. Now, it may be in the range from, it may need to go to someone professional, or it may need to go just to somebody who's in your life who's a little more mature about marriage, or they know some things. But getting help is big. The thing I had not seen work well are the extremes of when couples, here's what happens. When it's just you and your husband and wife, that could go okay. The catch is, if there's ever something that comes between you, now you're left with no one to turn to.
Right.
And I've seen couples who are best friends, but then when that connection is broken, they have no other support. And now they're frustrated because they don't really have any other connections or relationships in their marriage, right? And I've seen that.
I've seen that. And also, it's not that you don't want to get help. Sometimes you have to agree upon who you're going to get help from.
Who is big.
Right? Somebody that we both trust, and somebody that, I know I used to think about this. I would get help from people that if I share this weakness of Antoine, after they help us, they're still going to respect you. That was important to me.
That is important.
In choosing who I'm going to share and get help.
Somebody you could go to, usually be a guy. So, man, this is not going well. Whether could you help Antoine or could you help us?
Right.
But it'd be somebody really you can trust.
I can trust
that loves me, loves you, not a gossip,
right? Not
somebody who's gonna be rude or whatever,
right?
But they got some wisdom, and
they're not gonna lose respect from you,
and they're not gonna lose respect from me
because
hearing the dark side,
because they hear the dark side, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So that was important for me.
Who you get help from is big.
Who?
Because you don't want somebody who's going to be disrespectful. Also, you don't want somebody who's going to give you advice or input that's off.
Right.
And you don't want somebody that
gonna run their mouth.
Who's gonna run their mouth? That's it. Yeah, and I've seen that as well. Look, I'll say this one thing I do know, that scripturally, marriage is like anything else in our lives, but it's probably the most important thing in our lives, the most important relationship we can have. When we're in that covenant, is being able to get help, because it's so important. It's like nothing else. In scripture, it talks about, for example, in Ephesians chapter 4, talking about speaking the truth and maturity and why we have even leadership. What's the point of any leadership, any kind of leadership? It says, then we will no longer be infants tossed back and forth by the waves and blown here and there by every wind of teaching and the cunning and craftiness of people and their deceitful scheming. Instead, speaking the truth in love, we will all grow to become in every respect the mature body of him who is the head. That is Christ. Going from infancy to maturity, Ephesians 4:14, has to do with having people in your life that you can look up to. Not perfect, not to take over your life, but as a resource.
Yes.
Whether that be some couples, some will need some professional just focusing on getting through a rough spot in your marriage. Right. But sometimes it'll be somebody who's just a mature Christian family member who you trust that can be able to get you. But getting help matters.
Yeah, I would think about, for example, when we were going through being newly married, I would think about couples that were a little ahead of us and who was doing it well. So whether it was organizing their house, working their finances, schedules, I thought about who was good at those things as a newly married, and then we would go to them and just spend some time, maybe cook and have them over, and then ask a couple of questions to see if there was some tidbits that they could give us that would work for us. So that was getting help when we were, and then also with our teens, when we had teens.
Oh yeah, that phase
in parenting.
And that's another thing too, with getting help. Every phase of life, every phase of your marriage, the best marriage actually is multiple marriages.
Yes,
in that sense. They call same two people.
Yeah, they call it seasons of life.
Season, and sometimes with the kind of help you get with your young kids or no kids is very different from dealing with your adult children as opposed to dealing with your teens. And also even as we get older, as we become more, like there's so many seasons that getting help kind of changes.
Right.
But it does make a difference.
And the reason why I think it came up with marital unhappiness is because we wait too long. That's what they were saying, is that when the problems first happen,
yes,
we don't seek to get outside input
early.
To improve things early. We wait till it's so bad, and then by the time you go to get help, you're so unhappy that sometimes you don't have the hope that it could be different.
Because it got drained out. The relationship gets drained out. Yeah.
The relationship.
Look, I want to give you an encouragement. This is an important topic, definitely for marital happiness, but for marriage in general. Be in the body, whatever body that is. That's Paul's metaphor for community. Be in community. Have those people that you can, in essence, and I say this tongue in cheek, you can rat your spouse out to, the people that you can go to and say, man, could you give us some help? My husband's been feeling this, or I've noticed this, or I've noticed that. not behind their back, but with their full knowledge, because there's someone you trust. Have other people in your marriage, hand chosen, that you are trying to imitate, grow from, and be like. It really helps to get help. If you're one of those who don't get help, it may be wonderful. But be aware, without it, you run that risk of being isolated and too much stress going on in your marriage, whether it's between you or outside. Not good.
Not good.
Get help to enjoy your happiness. And this has been great.